All right, everyone. Hi, welcome to our GIM 2.0 recap and the introduction of our new indicator that we're rolling out today, our Urban Heat Island Index. My name is Angelica. You can call me Jelly, and I am the Greenlink Equity Map Strategic Development Manager. And I'm here today with some of my colleagues, Daniel Wagner, if you want to raise your hand reaction. He's our new project manager, and Sharanya Madhavan, she's our data scientist GIM team. So welcome, everybody. As some of you keep rolling in, again, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from and what you're looking forward to getting out of today. But I am going to go ahead and get this party started. So, all right. So we're here today. I just wanted to go through a couple of things with you.
No. This, you can't do that. You can't.
Sorry, if you can go ahead and mute yourself while you're not talking, I'd appreciate that. That'd be keep this going smooth. But I just wanted to recap what we're going to go through today's agenda. We are going to do a review of GIM 2.0 that launched earlier in May. So if any of you have gotten in the platform, we'll be able to address some of the questions that we have regarding access and navigating just GIM 2.0 and what's new. We will also recap what some of the new features are going to be and the new functions. And then the majority of the part today is going to be spent on introducing our newest data set, which is our Urban Heat Island Intensity Index. And that is what Ashar is going to be presenting to us today. Then we'll have some time in between for some Q&A. So hopefully that's all great. Wonderful. So first and foremost, what is GIM 2.0? This is our updated platform of the original legacy GIM that we had before. And there's a bunch of new things about it that it's new and improved. So we have some new data sets, both that are current to updated years, but also some novel data sets that are going to be rolled out this year, as well as some new functionalities that we'll go through later. We also have an entirely new interface, as we will see as we do a demo later, that is making it a little bit more accessible and digestible to read the information, regardless if you're coming from a background in being able to read geospatial data or anything like that. So it's supposed to be really accessible to everyday resident coming in, so they can really look at this platform and understand how it relates to their lived experiences. We also have some new improved user experience things. So we'll see some of the details of the readability of the GIM Equity Map, and we will kind of go through some of the easier ways to actually understand what it is you're looking at. But first and foremost, the equity map itself is here to help bridge cities and community-based organizations, as well as residents, relationships, and forge those relationships to better understand how equities are distributed across certain neighborhoods. And so we will learn a little bit about that today, how to read the map and how you could probably use it if you haven't already been doing within your own work. So first, how are we accessing GIM? If you are a member of a city staff, you currently have access to it. You can sign up using your city email at our gim.equitymap.org website. If you're coming from a community-based organization, you are a certified 501c3 and make under $5 million a year. You have free access to GIM. You go to the same website and sign up through the equitymap.com. And then anybody is interested in GIM, feel free to reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat. You can also reach out to Daniel. We're happy to give some demos around the equity map and be able to show you and learn about more subscriptions and how you can get access. So for those of us, is there anybody I see in the chat or maybe some reactions that are already in the equity map, or maybe were in the previous one before? Anybody on here? Feel free to send me a reaction or put it in the chat if you're already in the map itself. Thanks, Jeremy. Got some hand claps. Okay, so I see I have some people in here that have had the previous. Looks like, yep, Bethany is on here. She's getting into the platform itself. So this is a this password reset. I'm happy to, when we follow up with you guys after the community of practice, we'll send this back out again to make sure that you're getting a smooth login. But we'll address some more of those questions about what are some uneasy access to GEM. So if you're still having trouble signing up, or if you need approval on the back end from our admin to make sure you're getting in here, let us know so that we can make sure we're getting you in the platform. And so this is, if you want to go here, you can, we will share this with you, but if you go to the equity map, we will need you to reset your password if you had a previous GEM subscription.
Good. Hey, listen, I'm on a thing here right now, but we got a call later this morning to look at something about setbacks, step 4, exterior installation and setbacks. So
Norm, you got to hit mute, buddy. There you go.
I got you. Thank you. I had to find them. Appreciate it. Yeah. So anyways, going back to this, we will have some. Great. Thanks. Great, Kyle. I appreciate that. So it looks like these instructions work. So that's some good feedback that we got right away. So again, we can come back to this if you need help later when we answer some more questions. I see there's another question from Natalia that we will get to later in the process. But this is how we access the GEM right now. Like I said, if you have some more questions about getting subscription, please feel free to reach out to me and Daniel. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to pause and we will have time for some questions after we do a demo, but I am going to share my screen again and we are going to show you the equity map. All right. And Shar is going to help me with this.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Shar. I know Jelly introduced me earlier, but I will be walking all of you through the GEM platform with Jelly today. So, all right. So, Jelly, I know you're already over Atlanta, but this is the GEM 2.0 platform, our newest launch. So if you want to search places, if you want to search your city, the search tab is up in the upper right-hand corner there. So Jelly already typed in Atlanta here, which is why that is what our screen is centered on. But if you want to search your own area, that's where you would search it. Once you have the map drilled down on your area, you can click the city boundaries, which Jelly, I believe you already have that highlighted here, but you can turn that off and on to see where your city boundary is. And that's the black outline that we see on the map here. If we wanted to select an indicator, we can go ahead and click this drop-down menu for equity indicator 1. So let's go ahead and choose eviction rate for our first indicator here. So this is just an example of how an indicator is shown on a map. It shows for the whole county, although the city boundary does allow you to drill down to the census tracts within your specific city boundary that you might be interested in. The legend on the right allows us to better understand the spread of this indicator within the city. So as Jelly highlighted above, that those couple of words there under eviction rate ends up describing what the eviction rate indicator is. So it kind of just gives a little bit of a description so you can better understand what that indicator is and maybe how we got that data. And then under visual indicator, where we see all these boxes, this is the scale. So this really allows us to understand what is the maximum and minimum value of that indicator within the city. So as you can see, for Fulton County, the lowest minimum value for eviction rate is 0, and it goes up to around 22% here. So let's try to choose a different indicator now, Jelly. So why don't we go and choose energy burden as one of the indicators here. So now we just switched from eviction rate to energy burden. So you can, for energy burden, you have the ability to choose between electricity, gas, and water, or all three. So if we want to deselect water there, Jelly, then we can just have energy burden, so electricity plus gas. And then we see the spread within the city and the counties similar to how we saw eviction rate here. So we have the energy burden description on the right, and then we have the scale underneath that. And then as you hover over the different census tracts within the city, we see a little pop-up. So it tells us the number of households within that specific census tract along with median income. And then underneath that, we'll kind of see the specific indicator that we have selected and the actual value. So Jelly, if you want to zoom in, we can try to compare, we can go really close there and then try to compare within different census tracts to really understand the differences between this indicator drilled down a little bit here. And so, yeah, you can close the legend by just clicking that legend box, and then you can scroll in and out. So now one more thing I wanted to show you guys is we can overlay 2 different indicators when we're in the 2.0 platform. So right now we have equity indicator 1 selected, but we can go down and select equity indicator 2. So let's go ahead and select asthma rates, Jelly. So this might seem a little bit confusing at first. However, when we overlay 2 indicators, it's essentially showing us how those 2 indicators relate and might look as we combine both of them on the map. So our legend has changed a little bit on the right. So now we have a different color scheme. We go from yellow to green to blue. And so when we try to look at this legend and try to understand how this grid looks in this legend box that we have here to the right, areas that might be blue on the map, that means that they might have a higher energy burden, but lower asthma rates. And if we try to see areas that might be that really dark green color on the map, those might be areas that have a high energy burden again. However, they have kind of this medium mid asthma rate, since it's kind of in the center row there. So that's kind of how we distinguish and try to understand this legend a little bit on the right. And we're always happy to go through this a little bit more in depth in office hours or during a demo if you have further questions on this. But yeah, if you overlay, it'll have both of those indicators up here on the hover. So you can try to understand, okay, an area might have 10% energy burden, but it has 4% asthma rate. So you can try to understand how those relate on the map. I think one other thing I wanted to go through, Jelly, is if you just want to deselect asthma down there and go back to just having energy burden, we can also try to filter out to the highest energy burden tracks or highest tracks for a specific indicator that might be selected. So we can do this by using the scroll bar right there, and kind of as you move it to the right, it'll select tracks that might have a higher energy burden. So for example, if you scroll it all the way to the right side, it'll just select the census tract with the maximum energy burden. So you can try to understand, if you want to put some policies or programs into place, this is kind of how you would try to understand which census tracts you might be able to implement those in and have higher priority over. Yeah, so this is the 2.0 platform. I think I guess one more thing is, Jelly, if you want to click the download button down there, you can go into the download tab at the bottom here, and you're able to download this data. So the data will download in a CSV file, so you'll be able to analyze this a little bit further on your own computers. And so that's the first button on here. And that data will download on a census tract level. Some of you might be used to from the old platform. It's the same format. And also you might be able to download the map as a PNG file if you click the download map button. And that'll just kind of have a screenshot that you might be able to post in a presentation, or just some slides if you wanted to show some people that you're working with. And that about sums it up for 2.0, unless I missed anything, Jelly, that you want to highlight. But yeah, this is super exciting. I think please try to navigate through the platform, and if you have any questions, let us know. We're happy to walk you through it.
Thank you, Shar. I do have a question in the chat for Karen, as we'll navigate to more in-depth questions here in a second, but asking if we can look at more than 2 layers at a time. You're kind of jumping ahead, Karen, as we do have some functions that we'll share with you a little bit later, but we are working on an equity index, which allows you to look at multiple different indicators at a time, more than 2, and look at the relationship between those. And I will, again, can go more in depth about the process that we have, or that we're doing with that, the pilot projects that we're doing across the country to do that with the community members on the ground. So happy to schedule a demo to talk more in depth, but yes, that is to come. Also, please don't think that you have to remember anything that we just said. There is a video online on our YouTube channel that completely explains all of this. And again, I have office hours, Daniel has office hours, and we're always happy to do another demo more in depth. So, all right. I do want to navigate us back over to our questions so that we have some time to, where'd it go? There it is. So we can actually just answer some of the questions you may have for those of us who've already been in the platform, and also those of us who haven't been in the platform that have some questions. I also think it's a great time to ask to hear what you guys are working on right now, so that other people within this practice today can see how it's being used. So if you'd like to, feel free to share in the chat or raise your hand, and happy to hear from you out loud as well. But Karen, yeah, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me put my video on. So thanks, Jelly. So my name is Karen Appel. I'm the electric vehicle program manager for the city of Phoenix. And we just recently approved our EV action plan with a huge focus on equity. So one of the things that we need to do is create an EV equity map. So I am currently working and reaching out to all of my other City of Phoenix departments to see what kind of equity maps or maps, if they didn't call them an equity map, but it's got an equity focus, to see what other kinds of resources my other city departments have put together. But I'm always looking for a good platform or more of a one-stop shop to not recreate the wheel. So I have not been into your platform yet, but is there an opportunity to add more indicators, or are there indicators that show like no car ownership households, access to transit, anything that could be used other than the standard equity criteria in your platform? But happy to hear more about it. Maybe schedule a demo with you folks at a later date as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Karen. And also, awesome. Yeah, great work to hear that you're doing over there. We do, as I will get to in the next slide here, have some new indicators and functions that we'll be doing. One of those being a user input function. So if there's some data that you guys are working with on the ground within your neighborhoods or within the city itself, that'll be something that you'd be able to upload and it go into the cloud if you had access to the map. So that is one way that would happen. And we have some other indicators that we're working on this year around transportation. So we'll see when that is to come. But a lot of these indicators are going to be rolled out slowly through the course of the year and next year. So we'll allude to those in the next slide. But yes, absolutely, that's to come. Anybody else want to share? Are there any? I have a couple of issues that we see here in the chat too of people getting signed up. Please feel free to email me so we can make sure to look at and troubleshoot some of those problems in the back end so we can get you in the map itself. But anything else? Oh, sorry, it's jumping ahead. Anything else in the chat? Anybody else want to share? All right. Well, if there are some more things you'd like to share, or again, something that we need to address, please feel free to reach out to me, Shar, or Daniel, and we're happy to address these. but with my screen jumping ahead, now I get to share with you some of the new indicators that will be rolled out throughout the course of the year and next year within this platform. So going back to you, Karen, that was so thinking ahead, we will be having transportation burden at some point. This is a very difficult thing, but this is a new methodology we're working on. But as of right now, the next thing that you'll be hearing about is our Urban Heat Island Index today. And so that will be the first new indicator rolled out this year. We also are working on urban tree canopy data. I say we, but it's really our data scientist, Shar, because she's amazing. We also have a redlining layer coming and some, again, the user input function, as well as a change over time indicator, which right now the majority of our data is updated to 2019 data, the most relevant data, but we will have data in there all the way from 2013 up to present. So that you'll be able to actually understand and measure like your work over time, especially as it relates to equity. And as I mentioned to you before, we are working on some equity indices, which are very localized and tailored community equity indexes that show the relationship between multiple different equities at a time within a particular city or neighborhood. And we have 3 pilot projects that we're working on with this before we roll it out. But this is a lot of great stuff that is to come within the GIM 2.0 throughout the course of this year and next. Okay. And without further ado, I will lead you to the most exciting part of today, which is learning about our new indicator that will be rolled up in the platform, which is our Urban Heat Island Index. So I'm going to stop sharing and allow Shar to take the floor.
All right, so 1 second, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, everybody. So I would like to talk to you guys today about the Urban Heat Island Intensity Dataset that will be coming out in the next couple weeks here at Greenlink. So it'll be a part of the GEM platform. And I'm just going to start off with going through a little bit about urban heat islands, so just an introduction to them, some of their impacts, and then we'll go through the methodology and our newest indicator, which will be our heat island index that we'll have in the platform very soon. All right, so what are heat islands? So heat islands are when urban areas tend to experience higher temperatures than their surrounding areas. Now, this might be due to a variety of reasons. It could be due to buildings or impervious surfaces. So impervious surfaces being surfaces that might tend to absorb and emit more of the sun's heat rather than other vegetation or natural surfaces around them. This could also be due to urban geographies, weather, heat generated from human activities, from different machines that we have. There's a variety of things that cause urban heat islands, but it's very, very prevalent in society today, especially in all of these different cities that we have in the United States. And especially when looking at heat island temperatures, they vary a lot within a city. So it's really important to start talking about this intra-urban heat island effect. So this tends to be when there might be an uneven distribution of heat absorbing materials or surfaces, such as pavements or buildings within our cities. So some places might tend to be a little bit cooler due to trees and vegetation, or some places might stay a little bit hotter due to these impervious surfaces. So this is really where heat and equity tend to connect. There might be an inequitable distribution of heat-related risks across different populations within the same urban area. So it's really important to start understanding how heat varies within a city. And this is kind of what we focused on for our newest heat island data set that we're coming out with. So another thing I wanted to focus on here, if we look at this graph to the right that I have on my screen, is the difference between day and night temperatures. So daytime temperatures tend to fluctuate a lot more than nighttime temperatures. However, when we're looking at these heat island impacts within our cities, it's really important to really look at and drill into nighttime temperatures in different neighborhoods, because impervious surfaces, these heat absorbing surfaces, tend to cool very, very slowly during the nighttime. So we tend to see these really large gaps within areas in our cities, because an area that might have a lot of impervious surfaces might tend to cool at nighttime a lot slower than maybe a neighborhood that is, 20 blocks down that has a lot of parks and trees within it. So this is a little bit of a background on why we decided to focus on urban heat islands in the first place, and why we focused on nighttime temperatures specifically within our cities. So why are they a problem? There's a lot of different impacts when it comes to urban heat islands. So heat-related illnesses, if I might just read this quote that I have on this slide. Over the last decade, extreme temperatures have killed more than 166,000 people worldwide. So let's take a second to take that in here. Heat-related illnesses are a really big deal. They're a huge impact from the urban heat island effect, not just deaths, but heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, just general discomfort. So this is one really large impact. We also have increased energy consumption, which results in higher electricity costs, therefore leading to maybe higher energy burdens in some of our lower income communities. We have water quality issues, increased emissions. There's a lot of impacts to this urban heat island effect, which is why we need to start focusing on this. So I wanted to highlight kind of a real world example that's happening right now for the city of Phoenix. So the city of Phoenix has a lot of extreme heat. They are a great example of an urban heat island. They have a lot of asphalt traps. They have a lot of urbanization occurring within the city, which is trapping a lot of this heat. But also it's important to note that, Phoenix is already a hot city. They have triple digit temperatures, and this is very, normal for them. However, right now when we're seeing these massive heat waves across the globe, in the UK, we're seeing, a lot of communities at heat risk because they don't have the infrastructure to deal with this. Phoenix already had the infrastructure to deal with hot temperatures. However, now they have a rising frequency of extreme heat waves. So their infrastructure is not necessarily even able to hold up with this. So I just wanted to kind of bring up Phoenix as an example here. And this quote to the right, Phoenix has a funded office for heat response and mitigation. So I just kind of took a quote from David, who works there. And he says, in Phoenix, the risk of heat-related death for unsheltered communities is 200 to 300 times higher than the rest of the population. So especially in Phoenix, and we see this for a lot of other cities as well, but there is a huge inequitable distribution of heat-related risks. Urban canopy, for example, is a lot lower in areas that might be on the south or the west sides of the city. And this is kind of where Phoenix is starting to implement some programs and policies to alleviate some of these burdens. Again, this is just one example, but just wanted to show you guys, a real world example of how a city might be able to use a heat island data set. So this brings me to our methodology at Greenlink that I wanted to share with you all. So our goal, which I've talked about on the previous slides, is to develop a novel data set so we can try to better understand urban heat islands within a city. So try to understand this inequitable distribution of heat-related risks that we might see within the same city for different populations. And so how did we do this? We did this by focusing on an intensive satellite imagery geospatial analysis. So I don't want to get too intense here with my words. I'm happy to talk offline if any of you guys are more interested. However, we start with kind of looking at a satellite imagery data set. So this is raw imagery from satellites up in the sky. And from here, we're able to extract thermal imagery information. So what does that mean? This translates to surface temperature data. So surface temperature data is temperatures that we might be able to feel on the ground due to the surfaces underneath us. So this might be if I'm standing on a road with no trees next to me, unshaded, and I might feel very hot versus when I'm 2 blocks down, there might be a lot of tree canopy. I might be standing in the shade and I might be very happy and cool. So this kind of translates some of these temperatures to how do we feel due to the surfaces underneath us and surrounding us on the ground. So once we have this temperature data, we essentially took this to another level of evaluating temperatures on a city by city basis. As I mentioned before, there's many different causes for urban heat islands, right? So urban impervious surface cover, geometries, geographies, weather, and this varies from region to region, but not just region to region, but city to city within each region. So we evaluated the maximum summer nighttime temperatures on a city basis. And from here, we took it to another level of trying to understand how each month differentiates within these summertime temperatures to essentially choose a month for each city that might best show extreme heat due to these inequitable distributions of risks and the inequitable distributions of vegetation cover and impervious surfaces and stuff like that. And so from here, we were able to derive our final data set, which we call the Urban Heat Island Intensity data set. So this is, and I'll go a little bit further on the next slide. This is what we will post in GEM, and it's going to essentially show this intra-urban heat island effect. So we can try to compare temperatures, so these nighttime temperatures within a city. This description that I have here is what you might see on GEM when it is posted. But this translates a census tract's temperatures into a severity score. So this is going to rank it from 1 to 10 relative to other tracts in the city. So this scale I have here listed on the bottom of my slide, but 1 might be a low intensity and 10 meaning a high intensity. So if I am a census tract and I might have a heat intensity of 10 compared to a tract that might be in the surrounding areas that might have a heat intensity of 4, I know that my heat island effect is a lot more intense. I'm feeling a lot higher temperatures where I am compared to that other neighborhood. So from here, we can figure out where to implement different policies and programs to alleviate some of these heat-related burdens that some of our communities might face. And this is just an example. Again, it's not in GEM yet. It will be coming in the coming weeks, but I just wanted to share with you a screenshot that I had just so you can start to visualize how this might look in the platform. Again, our scale is on the right side, so it goes from 1 to 10. So the darker orange areas might have a higher heat intensity. And so I'm just pointing to a census tract here that has a high urban heat island intensity in Birmingham, compared to its surrounding tracts that might be these lighter colors. So we can understand that maybe we focus some of our efforts on this tract, and we can take our urban heat island intensity data set and overlay it with some of our other indicators in GEM, such as asthma rates or racial demographics and stuff like this to understand exactly which census tracts and neighborhoods we can start implementing some of these programs and start targeting. So that's all I had for the new data set. I just wanted to share that with you all so you can better understand what will be coming soon in the platform. Feel free to ask me any questions offline if they're more related to the data set, and I'm happy to answer them.
Awesome, thank you. I see the applause, I appreciate that. Great. Yeah, I just wanted to now like open the floor to you all around maybe some of the ways you might use the new Urban Heat Island Index in your own work. So again, if you want to raise your hand and come off mute and share a little bit about your reactions to this and or questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand and talk with us.
Hi, I just want to say a little bit. Thanks for the great presentation and all the data sets that you've made. So I work for a small nonprofit in Dayton, Ohio, and we're working on reducing energy burdens in Dayton neighborhoods. So we use the data that you already have on energy burdens to kind of target those neighborhoods that we want to focus on. And then in addition, we're trying to work on another piece. We're really focused on energy and energy efficiency, but a piece that I'm a little bit looking at is how we can use tree cover to increase energy efficiency, and looking at urban heat islands, and tree cover is a huge part of that. So that's how we'll be using this. So I just want to thank you again for making that resource for us, and definitely super appreciated for our work. So thank you.
Oh, I love to hear that. Is it Aileen? I probably butchered that. I'm sorry if I did.
Very close. It's just Eileen.
Eileen. Okay, right on. Eileen, thank you for sharing. It's really exciting. Also Dayton. So Matt is from Ohio. So I don't know if you knew that.
I'm from Dayton.
He's from Dayton. Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. We love Dayton.
Yeah. Go Flyers.
Go Flyers.
That's cute. I also see here Kyle said that heat island effect, energy burden, redlining are all very important to his energy and environmental justice work. So that's awesome. Really great to hear that a lot of the new stuff that's coming to is going to be very helpful for you. I have a question from Alyssa, Black Power. Great to see you again. She asked, what data would help improve the resolution of UHI data to the block level instead of census tract? That is a question not for me. So I'm going to take that to Shar.
Hey, Alyssa. I think we've met. Good to see you again. So the data that we pulled was on a census tract level, more so because it is very well integrated with the GEM platform and kind of what our theory of change at Greenlink constitutes. But if you wanted to move this down to the block level, this is something that you can certainly do from satellite imagery. I just, overlaid this and calculated it for the census tract level. But if you wanted to have that conversation on how to bring this down a little bit more granular to the block level, we can certainly chat about that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Shar.
Awesome. We also have Natalia. You have your hand raised. You want to come with mute?
Hi, yes, thank you. My name is Natalia and I'm with Catalyst Miami. We're a community-based organization in Miami. Again, I'll echo the big thank you from small organizations. This is super helpful for our energy and environmental justice work. In a lot of our policy advocacy, when we get good response, we also get a lot of interest from planners and policymakers to be able to evaluate like the new investments that they're making, the changes in development, the investments, for example, in improving tree canopy, like to what extent that's really addressing the urban heat island effect. So I'm curious to know how frequently this will be updated, and if potentially you guys envision this being like a tool that they could use for evaluation of progress on trying to mitigate the urban heat island effect.
Yeah, good question. So our data set is currently for 2019, and it will be integrated with the platform. But as we mentioned previously, we'll be moving towards this change over time component in GEM. So we do have the data set currently available for the years prior to 2019, and we will be updating it going into the future. So as you kind of work on these policies to mitigate UHI, we'll have the data set following in your path. So it'll be there to help you out.
So,
And the same will go for urban tree canopy as well.
Shar, how far back will it go?
Yeah, it'll go back to 2013 and it'll be every year from 2013 to 2019 and then going forward as we move into the future once we start implementing future years. So good question.
Gracias, Natalia. Thank you. Albert in the chat said he's looking forward to exploring how the urban heat island, tree canopy, and transportation BERTA data sets interact with other equity factors. Awesome. Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing that relationship too. Jeremy, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I think maybe we can try to find it and share later, but we have worked with the city of Philadelphia and the GEM data, like earlier versions of the vulnerability data, specifically to understand like where there was heat vulnerability and where that intersected with energy burden or other types of vulnerability so that the city of Philadelphia could target heat relief in the summer to the neighborhoods that were experiencing the most heat vulnerability, the greatest energy burden. So like, you know, maybe people that were reluctant to turn on an AC or that don't have AC. So I know that an earlier version of this data set was really helpful to the city of Philadelphia to be able to understand not only those heat vulnerabilities, but how they intersected with other vulnerabilities so that they could then direct heat relief and supportive services to the folks that needed it most. So I'm really excited that you all now have this data in GEM. It's going to make it even easier for city staff and others that are trying to take care of vulnerable people during this heat wave to understand where they might best focus some of their outreach and engagement efforts to better understand what's going on the ground.
I'm sure that resonates with some people. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Maybe we could find and share Shai's presentation. Shai Flores from the city of Philadelphia in the past has done something on that if folks are interested.
Definitely. I think we have a Jim story about it as well. But get her presentation would be great. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm sure that would resonate with a lot of people on here as well. It'd be very helpful to see a very tangible example. Yeah. Bianca, nice to see you.
Hi everyone. And I really want to congratulate you on the new, whatever is coming up. And these are the indicators that we are looking forward to see them. But I also wanted to take an opportunity to say that we do have here energy insecurity work group that has been established since 2020. And we meet every week. And as we got access to your tool, it has been really great. And we have done some, in order to engage more our stakeholders, we have looked at your data, downloaded your data and did the report so we can kind of show them what are the possibilities and so on. And also we do very often, whenever our stakeholders are interested, we do request office hours to meet with you, which has been very helpful. So the last conversation that we had was with the Department of Economic Security, and they were very interested. And so we'll have, it has been great just to know energy burden and to have this interactive kind of access and be able to play around and know where these groups are or these neighborhoods. It has been really great. Thank you so much. And we have been using more and more, I know.
That's amazing to hear. And I really appreciate you sharing that with the group. I know that we've obviously got to work together very closely recently about the work you're doing, and you guys are doing some really serious work on really forging relationships between different departments in this space. So I want to highlight your guys' work as well, being intentional about like approaching this from multiple perspectives, from the health perspective, from the energy perspective, and really looking at this problem holistically. So I'm really happy to hear that GEM has been a really useful tool for you and continues to be now with the economic department. So yes. I will see you soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other reactions, comments, questions about anything while we're still at the end here, a Q&A that can be about accessing the new platform itself, If you have more questions or want to do a more in-depth demo, like I mentioned, feel free to reach out to me or Daniel. We're happy to do that. But any other things about the UHI or anything else? All right. Okay, well, wonderful. Again, please don't think this is the last stop that you with us. Please can stay connected with us offline. And I just wanted to end here with, again, thanking you for your time and actually just like spending time with us to learn about not only our new data sets, but about each other and the work that we're doing. So hopefully you continue to show up to this community of practice and learn how other people are using the equity map and the other amazing work that's going on around the country. We will be following up with you next week about the next community of practice. So we'll be sometime in late August. We're still finalizing some dates. So we will follow up with you in the next email. We will also send out the recording and any other resources to help you continue to get signed up into GEM if that's something you'd like. So again, please feel free. I will put my email here in the chat. Daniel will put his email here in the chat as well. He put the demo link online as well. So feel free to schedule us a time. So thank you all, and we got done early. So have a great rest of your Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks, Gem Team.